This episode of Cosmic Sponge may contain material disturbing to some of our listeners. Parental discretion is advised. This week on Cosmic Sponge, we get into the Halloween spirit, starting with some spooky news, followed by some creepy ghost stories.
I don't want to hear ghost stories. I want you to read me The Very Hungry Caterpillar.
I'm not doing this with you right now. I need to finish this intro, and then we're going to record some ghost stories.
Read me The Very Hungry Caterpillar.
Not happening. Now go back to your Bronze Age urn and...
You leave me no choice.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do?
Baby shark doo 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 doo, baby shark doo 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 doo, baby shark doo doo.
All right. I'll read you The Very Hungry Caterpillar right after we wrap up the ghost stories, okay?
Damn right you will.
I swear, that is the last time I pick Sumerian artifacts up from a Toys R Us auction. Anyway, stick around. It's gonna be a scary one.
I'm going to go make some popcorn.
Welcome to Cosmic Sponge, the podcast where we talk about UFOs and other weird wonders in the world. I'm Stephen Hawk.
And I'm Jimmy Cope.
Tonight we have a very special episode for you. We're doing terrible tales of terror, hauntings, and ghosts for Halloween.
Man, I should watch something other than those cat videos.
That can be pretty terrifying, actually. I've seen some scary cat videos.
These are kittens.
Especially the ones where they're playing the pianos and wearing the little clothes. Ooh.
Well, I guess that could be scary.
Scary to me. But before we get into that, we need to talk about the contest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the contest has been going for 1 week. And if you are listening to this in real time, not from some future date, you still have 1 week to enter the contest. The contest will officially end October 24th, and we will announce the winner on our October 31st episode.
That is correct. If you are immediate family members of either Steve or I, you can't enter. So don't even try. If you're a time traveler from the future, that's cheating. You cannot enter. If you're a time traveler from the past, I think you're okay.
Yeah, I was going to be fine, I guess.
Yeah.
Why can't a time traveler from the future enter?
Because he knows the... Oh, that's right. I guess he wouldn't know anything. He wouldn't even bother if he lost, right?
I don't know. It may create a paradox.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like the topic for a whole nother episode, which we are not doing tonight.
That's
Time
right.
Travel.
We're not doing it.
Jimmy, give them the rundown on the contest, because what we didn't announce last week is there are ways to have multiple entries. So let's talk about that.
So there are several ways you can enter to win a Cosmic Sponge water bottle, a Cosmic Sponge spiral notebook, a West Virginia Cryptids travel manual of cryptids in West Virginia, signed by both the author and the artist, and a couple of stickers from West Virginia Cryptids and Strange Encounters. The way you can enter is to go directly to our website, or if you're on our Facebook page, you can look there, and we have a location there where we've made a post, and you can go to the King Sumo site, which is hosting our contest, and sign up there. Some of the really cool things you can do to increase your chances of winning is you can like us on Facebook, and that counts as one additional entry. You can follow us on Instagram. That counts as 2 additional entries. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. That also counts as 2 additional entries. You can also do 1 entry per day as daily entries. So come back and enter every day at least once, and that ups your odds, your chances of winning these goodies.
All right. So, and that's really cool, man. If you go to our webpage, if you go to cosmicsponge.com, the thing that'll pop up immediately is the contest, and there's some pictures there that slide back and forth that show you all the great prizes. So be sure and enter. We are looking forward to sifting through all of the entries. So anyway, thanks for listening. We really appreciate all of that. And that's tonight's show.
Dork.
Anyway, we do appreciate all the love and support that we've been getting, and hopefully everyone will have fun with this contest. While you're on our webpage, don't forget to check out our web store. If you would like to support the show, there's a little coffee cup icon in the upper right-hand corner. When you click on it, it'll give you different levels of support to help us do the show. Don't forget to check out our Facebook page, YouTube, and Instagram, as Jimmy had mentioned. It's a way to get extra entries as well if you like us. So anyway, let's move on to the next segment, which is the news. What you got for me tonight, Jimmy?
But what would you do if there were demons in your house?
Well, let's see. Depending on how much I really like the house, I would probably leave if I just bought it or something.
What if you're hardcore?
If I'm hardcore, I'd probably call one of those people that burn the sage and do all the blessings and stuff. Maybe get a priest involved. No, I don't know. I would do some research on it for sure. Maybe call Les.
Well, one of our fellow West Virginians down in Clarksburg burnt his house to the ground.
I guess that's an option.
During the interview, Brown stated that he just kept adding paper to this pile of where he had set fire in his garage till the smoke and fire became so bad he was forced to leave, indicating he was trying to get rid of people and demons he believed were located in the garage at the time. He is currently charged with arson and being held in the North Central Regional Jail on a $25,000 bond.
Did he seriously say he was trying to burn out a demon?
Yeah, this is a quote. Brown, I guess Brown is, well, they got quotations marks, but it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like they're just recounting what they wrote down that he was saying. Indicated he was trying to get rid of the people and demons he believed were located in the garage at the time he had set the fire.
Okay. Well, I guess that's one way of doing it.
Yeah, I don't know that that would be my go-to move, but...
If you can't get the demons out of the house, then just get the house out of the demons.
I don't know what that means.
It means get rid of the house, right? And then
I'll sell it to some other
demons
spot.
being in your house because you no longer have a house.
That's right. He could have sold it.
Well, I mean, could you, in good conscience, though, sell a house to someone if it had demons in it?
Oh, yeah. Depends on who it is. Sure.
Wow.
Yeah. Like if I saw a guy kick dogs, I'd sell him my house. I'd sell it to him cheap. Here you go. Here's the key. Give me $1.50. Enjoy the house, you dog kicking evil man.
They're evil.
I like puppy dogs.
All right, I got one for you.
What do you got?
There was recently this story. Let me see. I posted this twice on our Facebook page because the first one says it has a video, but then when I got into the story, it didn't. And I had already posted it. So then I posted another one that actually does. But there's this strange footage of a mystery black shape in the skies of Chicago. It's difficult to describe. I urge listeners just to go to our Facebook page and check it out. But it says here, this story comes from The Mirror, and it's dated October 10th, which is today. A woman was left in total confusion and creeped out after she saw a strange black shape floating in the skies. Ayana, who asked that her second name be withheld, recorded the surreal footage from the roof of her home in Chicago, Illinois. The video shows a long black wishbone shape hanging in the air with both its wings ending in some sort of spear. Anya and her son said neither of them had any idea what they were seeing. She said she stayed watching it until it disappeared from view. It just seemed to float slowly southeast without any major movement. She said it covered a few miles in about 20 minutes. I felt total confusion and a bit creeped out, she added. Hoping to find answers, a friend of Anya's shared the footage with UFO watchers online, but no one was able to explain how an object could float so calmly above the famously windy city. One person wrote, "I've never seen a balloon hang still in the open air like that. It should bob, even just a little. There must be absolutely zero wind there." Yeah, it's really kind of weird. I posted this story. Take a look at it. One suggestion when I looked down at the comments was that maybe it's the top of like a cell phone tower that is in fog or clouds. The close-ups make it difficult to really tell much about it. But then the second story I posted, which has the video clips, but when you go into it, you can watch the video. And it doesn't look like that. Have you seen this?
Yeah, I saw it. It's one of two things. No, actually, I believe it's one of two possible things, though there's a I'll leave the third open for things I just don't know about, because it is a neat looking video. There's this thing that happens when you have certain atmospheric conditions where it shows a very real looking reflection of things on the ground. I saw one, that happened in China where it looks like there's a floating city because of the, probably because of all the pollution and smog there. It creates a platform for which light can be reflected back. So that could be it. It could be that in the sky. But I think it is probably somebody who's really bad at making those balloon animals, and he just failed and then let it go.
Yeah.
He was trying for the Guinness Book's World Record of the largest balloon animal using helium. He sucked at it, and he just let it go. He's practicing or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because it's huge. It's got to be huge, right?
Yeah. If you look at the first story and it just shows the photos, you can't really appreciate it. You watch the video, especially when she zooms out. That's why when you see some people that suggested, it looks like the top of a tower covered in fog or clouds or something. When she zooms out, you can tell that it's not. There's other smokestacks in the distance on the ground level and everything that are sharp, so it's not fog or anything that I can tell. And it does look to be quite high in the sky. I don't know. It's pretty weird looking, that's for sure. But anyway, listeners, check it out. It is on our Facebook page, so get in there and see what you think. So, got any other stories tonight, Jimmy?
Yeah. My next story comes out of Los Angeles, California. Resident Mario Restrepo is suing Palos Verdes estate psychic for fraud, alleging that she falsely promised to remove a curse cast on him by a witch his ex-girlfriend hired. He reportedly...
Oh, man.
It's terrible.
I hate it when that happens.
I know. And so he reportedly paid the psychic $5,100 to remove the curse. According to the lawsuit brought in Superior Court, Restrepo found the website of Sophia Adams. And he went with her because on the website, it lists her as a PhD life coach. And because it had PhD in front of it, he thought, has to be legit. So,
we'll have to ask one of our academic friends if there is a doctorate
for a life coach
that you can get as a life coach.
Yeah. So after contacting Adams, he sits down with her. They do this exchange, a tarot card reading, and she told him that he had mala suerte. I'm saying that wrong. Suerte. It's not an episode unless I try to spell something.
That really helped it. Yeah.
or bad luck, essentially. And Adams told him it was bad luck placed on him by a witch hired by his ex-girlfriend, and then unless he removed the curse, he and his family would be unhappy and in danger. He pays her the money. Apparently it doesn't work because things still suck for him. And so he's suing her now for $25,000 in compensation.
So why $25,000?
I guess because she didn't do what she said she was going to do. And
some
as a
punitive
consequence,
damages then?
Yeah, he's continuing to suffer for that period of time until he finds a PhD life coach that can actually remove the curse.
I wonder if he's had any luck removing the curse since then, and it's gone back and said, look, see, this person did remove the curse. You didn't. You owe me my money back. So I guess there's not a money back guarantee, like satisfaction guaranteed or anything from that PhD life coach psychic.
I don't know. I want to see how this court case goes, because if it goes in favor of the PhD life coach, I'm going to set up a shingle. I'm gonna become a PhD life coach.
Yeah, man, how do you even... I'd like to hear the testimony in that trial. Where the guy goes over all the stuff. First of all, explains how he got the... is he going to subpoena his ex-girlfriend and the witch that put the curse on him? Are they going to discuss that? And then they bring in the psychic to discuss what measures she took to remove this curse.
I couldn't sit in that courtroom.
And maybe he's not cursed at all. Just throwing this out there. Maybe he's not cursed at all, but his life just sucks. And he's trying to blame someone else for said sucking life.
Anybody's willing to pay $5,000 to a PhD life coach, his life's got to be pretty bad.
I think if you're going to hand $5,000 to a psychic, you probably got bigger problems.
I couldn't sit in that courtroom. I would be thrown in contempt of court. I would like to be the
judge or one of the attorneys for that.
Judge would throw me in prison for contempt of court because I couldn't stop laughing.
Oh my God, psychics! Don't get me started.
Fair enough.
What else you got for me? I'm done. That was the only story I had.
Okay, I have one other. I wasn't going to bring this up, but it made me laugh. So, do you remember this story back in, I think it was 2010? This woman drives up to I think it was McDonald's.
Burned her lap with hot coffee?
No. This is the chicken nugget woman. She wanted chicken nuggets, and then she tried to climb through the window and assault the woman at the thing. It was in the news.
Dude, this can be like any day.
Fair enough. So it was, here it is. New Year's Day in 2010, when 25-year-old Melody Duchesne showed up at the drive-thru of her local Toledo, Ohio McDonald's. She had a huge hunger for chicken McNuggets. But unfortunately for everyone, it was still breakfast time. The McDonald's employees tried to explain to her that they had no chicken nuggets to give her until lunchtime. This set her into a rabid rage in which she tried to force her way into the drive-thru window while punching employees. She ended up smashing the window and then sped away in her car. Now, the police eventually did track her down, and she spent 60 days in jail, and she had to pay for the repair of the drive-thru window. Now, this isn't the important thing. The title of this article is Werewolf Exposed.
Oh.
Yes. The original release surveillance video from the incident didn't have audio. The video at the top of this particular page, which I will post in Facebook, does. It was censored by the U.S. Paranormal Defense Agency. Go figure. I did not... Is
that a government agency?
Is my tax dollars going to that? I don't know. But in it, you can hear the angry woman...
for that.
Yeah. In it, you can hear the angry woman making growling sounds like a crazed animal. She also mentions taking her true form. And now we know she is indeed a werewolf who had a deep craving for meat. Well, why was she trying to get chicken McNuggets if she wants meat?
Yeah, she can always get sausage.
Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of things out there you can get instead of chicken McNuggets. Bacon, yak meat.
Why didn't she just order a chicken biscuit? Don't they have a chicken biscuit?
I'm sure they do.
It's essentially the same thing. It's deep fried chicken. Right?
Yeah. Or
been like one giant nugget. She could just took the bread off of it.
Yeah, I mean...
she just wasn't thinking because she's a werewolf.
She's a werewolf. She was going crazy. But the enhanced photo they have here shows the telltale sign of glowing orange eyes that indicates a werewolf in human form.
That is amazing. Yeah, be sure and post that for sure. You know, it's so funny. I just maybe today or yesterday when I was doing some research for tonight's episode, I ran across a guy that was trying to use that in defense in either an assault and battery case or even maybe a murder case. Something about being possessed by a demon, but it didn't work. He ended up going to prison. But
you don't say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
should have brought a priest in to testify about it. Maybe you couldn't find one as an expert witness.
Yeah, what kind of priest would you bring in? Would you bring in like a
one of those exorcist guys? I guess. I don't know.
I mean, would you like the Russian churches, like the Orthodox Russian church, or the Orthodox?
One of the ones
Greek?
that always show up in the movies and does the exorcism and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's just your run of the.
Don't they have an exorcism department or something?
Yeah, but I mean, each church is different, right? Because there's several different Catholic style churches, right?
I guess.
I'm actually watching I can't remember what the name of it is, but I was watching it last night, try to calm my mind after a long day of work. I watched this thing on Netflix about this Catholic priest that shows up on this island.
Oh, it was really cool. I watched that.
Oh, did you? So
I watched the whole thing. Yeah, I watched it last week.
Yeah.
What was it called?
I don't. That's what I can't remember.
Midnight Mass.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, that was
good.
pretty neat. Yeah, we watched that. We binge watched that thing, man. So it was like a limited series.
Yeah,
I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah, I'm only halfway through it, so don't.
Other
spoil
than
it.
that sad girl and guy in it, they got a little sad.
Don't spoil it for me. Come on.
How far are you in it?
I'm about halfway.
Oh, you've already seen all the mopey scenes.
Oh, good. I can't.
Where they talk about how sad they are.
Yeah, I can't take that. I'm sad. I'm sad too.
I'm sad too. Why are you sad? Well, let me tell you this really, really, really long story.
I hope the monster gets you before you finish that story.
Well, now it's time for my story.
I hope the monster gets you before you start your story. Man, if I made a monster movie,
we liked it.
If I made a monster movie, it would be like 12 minutes long. There's just no character development or anything. Just
no suspense.
People would just be getting eaten by monsters.
Just have a whole room of people having lunch or something, or like a little party, dinner party or something. And just have a monster come in and kill everyone gruesomely.
I would just call it dinner for monsters.
Yeah, dinner for one.
Dinner for one. Okay, anyway.
So let's move on with tonight's main topic. This is our Halloween episode, and what we've decided to do is to tell true life ghost stories for the remainder of the show. Because, it's that time of year, Halloween.
The spooky time of year.
Jimmy, I know you've done some legwork on some of these.
Man, you made me go first. Hold on.
You want me to go first? I'll go first.
I got to learn how to pronounce this word. Got it.
I heard that.
I know you did. Valiska. Okay.
Valiska.
Yeah, you should probably go first because I don't think I have as many as you, and I have one big one. So I'm going to let you go first. Big's probably an overstatement, but
okay. How about I just go first?
Hey, why don't you go first?
All right. So let's start with. So what we want to talk about tonight are hauntings or ghost stories that are based on true stories, right? Not just something made up. So I'm going to start with one that everyone probably has heard about, but may not know the true story. And I'm going to talk about the Amityville Hauntings. Everyone has probably seen the movie. This is the true story of it. On November 13th, 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. shot and killed 6 members of his family at 112 Ocean Avenue, a large house situated in a suburban neighborhood in Amityville, New York. He was arrested, found guilty, and jailed, and his house was put on the market. So in December of 1975, George and Kathy Lutz and their 3 children bought the house, and they moved in. For the next 28 days, the family were terrorized by unseen forces. Kathy had vivid nightmares about the murders and discovered the order in which they occurred and the rooms where each one took place. The Lutz children also began sleeping on their stomachs in the same way that the dead bodies in the DeFeo murders had been found. Things grew steadily worse, with mysterious injuries being inflicted upon the females of the household, strange footprints appearing on the ground, and the discovery of a secret room which did not appear on the blueprints of the house. Painted completely red, the room was dubbed the Red Room, and the family dog was terrified of it. After deciding that something was wrong with their house, George and Kathy carried out a blessing on the 8th of January, 1976. According to reports, George held a silver crucifix while they both recited the Lord's Prayer, and while in the living room, George allegedly heard a chorus of voicings asking them, "Will you stop?" They attempted a second blessing later that same month and fled the next day, describing the events that occurred as too frightening to ever tell. But apparently they did, because they wrote a book and it was later made into a movie.
They made bank.
Yeah.
That's the true story.
It's a creepy looking house.
Well, I mean, is it creepy looking, or is it just creepy looking because you know the story?
Yes.
So,
I think it's a creepy looking house.
I do too.
You ever heard of those witch windows?
No. What's a witch
I
window?
don't know. It just popped in my head, but there's something about witch windows. You put a window in kind of at a weird angle or something.
And then you say, which one is it? It's that one.
All right. What's one of your stories?
Okay. This is the Valiska axe murder house. You heard of this one? This is a pretty good one. Between the evening of June the 9th, 1912, and early morning of June 10th, 1912, in the small town of Villisca, Iowa, 6 members of the Moore family and 2 house guests were found bludgeoned in the residence. All 8 victims, including 6 children, had severe head wounds from an axe. After a lengthy investigation, several suspects were brought forward. Before we get into the suspects, I want to talk a little bit about how creepy and weird this actually is. So, the family consisted of Josiah, the father, at age 43, Sarah, the mother, at 39, and their 4 children, Herman, Mary, Catherine, and Arthur. Oh, 5. That was 4. And Paul.
Well, don't forget Paul.
Yeah. Herman was 11, Mary was 10, Arthur was 7, and Paul was 5. And they were an affluent family, and they were well-known and liked in their community. On the 9th, they invited Ina May and Lena Gertrude Stillinger, ages 8 and 12, to spend the night at their house. That evening, the visiting girls and the Moore family attended their Presbyterian church, and then they walked home. The church program ended at about 9:30, and they arrived at the house, they think, between 9:45 and 10. At 7 the next day, Mary Peckham, the Moore's neighbor, was a little concerned because she noticed that the family hadn't come out to do their morning chores. Now, that was back in the day when, families and neighbors looked after one another. I'm sure it still goes on today, but it was more common back then. And Peckman just came on over to their house and let the Moore's chickens out and called Ross Moore, Josiah's brother. He lived a little bit away. So Moore came over, knocked on the door, and no one responded. The door was locked from the inside. Ross unlocked the front door with his copy of the house key, and while Peckham stood on the porch, Ross went into the parlor, opened the guest bedroom door where he found Ina and Lena Stillinger's bodies on the bed. He immediately walks out and calls Hank Horton, the peace officer, who arrives shortly thereafter. Horton searches the houses, and it reveals that the entire Moore family and the 2 Stillinger girls had been bludgeoned to death. The murder weapon, an axe belonging to Josiah. It was found in the guest room where the Stillinger sisters were found. Doctors concluded that the murders had taken place between midnight and 5 a.m. 2 spent cigarettes in the attic suggested the killer or killers patiently waited in the attic until the Moore family and the Stillinger guests were asleep. The killer then began in the master bedroom where Josiah and Sarah slept. Josiah received more blows from the axe than any other victim. His face had been cut to such an extent that his eyes were missing. The killer then used the blunt end to kill the remaining members of the family, one at a time. And they believe that one of the young girls in the guest bedrooms, Lena, who had been asleep when she was murdered, they thought that she was awake and tried to fight back because she had defensive wounds on her arm. Now, this is where it gets really more interesting. All the windows...
Yeah, we probably should have done a little disclaimer about this one.
Well, we can go back and put it in. So...
May not be a bad idea.
Yeah.
This might get a little bloody and gruesome.
You may want to set the children out of the room for this one. This is pretty awful. All of the windows in the house had been covered, presumably to lock out any possible people waking up or lights or anything, maybe not to see them. The doors were all locked. I didn't see anywhere where they had a window open or a door unlocked. Maybe there was. I wasn't able to find anything that said how whoever was on the inside got out. And then all the mirrors in the house were covered.
Weird.
Yeah. And they never did find out who did it, though they had several suspects.
When we were talking about this earlier today, I actually have I said I had an axe murder house story too.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is the same house, but a different story.
Ooh.
Yeah. Did you have anything else on your story?
No, go ahead. I mean, there are other things, but I think this might be worth us spending the time to get the details right and go back through the history, because I think there is one person who's most likely the person who killed those people, and he was a serial killer, and that wasn't the only house that he had killed people with an axe. Could be a good story to do.
Yeah, we'll have to put that one on the list. So I have a follow-up of the very same house. The Valiska Axe Murder House in Iowa is a well-known tourist attraction for ghost hunters and horror lovers alike. The site of a gruesome unsolved 1912 murder in which 6 children and 2 adults had their skulls completely crushed by an axe of an unknown perpetrator. The house was purchased in 1994 and restored to its 1912 condition and converted into a tourist destination. It costs $428 a night to stay at the old haunted home, where visitors always report strange paranormal experiences such as visions of a man with an axe roaming the halls or the faint screams of children. In November of 2014, the haunting took a darker turn. Robert Stephen Larson, Jr., 37, of Rhinelander, Wisconsin, was on a regular recreational paranormal visit with friends when true horror struck. And here's the news story about that. Courtesy of Vice website. His companions found him stabbed in the chest and apparently self-inflicted wound. Called 911, and Larson was brought to a nearby hospital before being helicoptered to Creighton University Medical Center in Omaha. The Montgomery County Sheriff's Office said Lauren suffered a self-inflicted injury at about 12:45 a.m., which is around the same time as the 1912 axe murders in the house began. Well, so they say. You said that the best they could gather was between 12 and 5. Makes a better story, right?
Yeah, this is not CIS Miami. This is CIS Iowa.
Iowa, 1912.
1912.
They died sometime in the middle of the night, after midnight, but before this morning.
They died sometime this year.
They didn't get up to get the chickens out.
They died this year sometime before this morning.
Yeah. So anyway, Larson recovered from his injuries, but has never spoken publicly about what occurred that day. For Martha Lynn, the owner of the home, the incident was very upsetting. It's publicity, but it's not exactly the kind of publicity you desire to have. I don't want people thinking that when they come to the Valiska axe murder house, something's going to happen that's going to make them do something like that. The house remains open for tourists and visits and overnight stays to this day. Some guy stabbed himself in the middle of the night.
He got his money's worth.
Had to be helicoptered out. I mean, it's pretty serious.
That's serious.
And then he recovered, but he doesn't want to talk about it. What happened?
He might have tripped.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm afraid that I would pay that much money, go there and sleep like a baby.
Yeah, most likely, unless the owners,
have
did something to mess with.
Yeah, they have some speakers or stuff in the house. Woo!
Woo!
Yeah.
All right. What you got next?
So in 1812, the Chase family vault in Barbados was open for the burial of Thomas Chase. 3 of his female relatives had already been laid to rest inside the vault, and afterwards it was sealed with concrete and left undisturbed. And yet, when the vault was open for Thomas Chase, the coffins were found in a confused state, having been apparently tossed from their places. The vault was opened again later for the burial of an infant, and once again, the same phenomenon was discovered. Each time, the coffins were placed back in their resting places, yet each time the caretakers reopened the vault, the coffins were found in disarray. The story goes that this continued until all coffins were finally removed from the vault and buried elsewhere in 1820. The vault has remained unsealed and untenanted ever since.
Well, that is strange.
Yeah, I mean, do they have earthquakes there or something? I don't know.
This is one I found from Latin America. Throughout Latin America, you'll hear variations of the story of La Llorona.
La Llorona.
Or the Wailing Woman. Sometimes she's lost her husband. Sometimes she's lost her children. Sometimes it's both. But in La Parava, a ski spot in the Chilean Andes, the Wailing Woman is named Lola. La, 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 Lola.
That's what I was trying to think of. Yeah.
I love that song, man. It's funny.
That's a great song.
And everyone in the area swears they knew her before she died. A local restaurant owner said he dated her. Pro skier Drew Tabaki says the ski patroller that he heard the story from pointed at the exact hut where this tale takes place. The story starts on a nice day in peak ski season. Lola and her young son planned to spend the day on the slopes. As can happen in the Andes, a thick fog rose up from the valley, which often precedes the arrival of a real storm. The clouds enveloped the two as they were making their way down from the top of the mountain, and they lost contact with one another. Desperate to find her son, Lola began screaming his name as she ran through the thick fog. Unable to see clearly, though, she stumbled down a steep slope and began sliding toward a rocky ravine. By chance, a local lift operator who was returning to his cabin came across her body. He was afraid she was dead, but upon closer inspection, he found that she was still alive, just barely. Her body was covered in lacerations from sharp rocks, and the only word she said in the faintest whisper was her son's name. The lift operator worked to carefully pull her body to his cabin, which was just up the hill. He bandaged her cuts as best he could and then ran to fetch the doctor. Together, the doctor and lift operator made their way back to his hut, the fog hanging thickly in the air. When they arrived, though, the bed was empty. Just the bloody sheets remained. Neither the woman nor her son were ever found, but locals report hearing her wail for her child whenever they're near that lift operator's cabin.
That's spooky, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, this is spooky. Have you ever heard of Bella and the Witch Elm? In April of 1943, 4 young boys were searching for bird nest in a place called Hagley Woods near Stourbridge. It was a small town in an area of West Midlands. Legally, they weren't supposed to be there. They snuck into the area and went exploring, and eventually they came across a large wych elm. I think it's pronounced witch elm, but it's spelled W-Y-C-H, a particular kind of tree. One of the boys decided to climb the tree and see if it contained any nest. At the moment he found a skull nestled in the tree, he got the heck out of Dodge. So the tree had a hollow center. The boy thought to be an animal skull. He reached down, picks it up, realizes that it's actually a human skull. It's covered complete with teeth and patches of hair. Ugh. He drops it back down into the tree, and then they talk amongst themselves, the all four kids, and they're like, we're not going to tell anybody. Let's get the heck out of here, because they weren't supposed to be there to begin with. They're afraid they'd get in trouble. But the youngest of the boys could not contain himself because he was so horrified by the whole thing and just told his parents. So the parents contacted the local authorities, and they go and they pull the head out first, and then eventually they're able to pull out a full skeleton minus one hand. They continue to dig down in the bottom of the tree, and they eventually find the hand, and they also find a wedding ring, one shoe, and the remnants of cloth in the skull's mouth. So a forensic examination by a local professor revealed the fact that the skeleton was that of a female, about 35 years old, and he estimated she'd been dead for about 18 months. Additionally, he determined that the body would not have fit in the hollow of the tree once rigor mortis has set in. Therefore, someone likely put her there very soon after death, or while she was still alive. Now, it gets a little weirder, because at this time we don't have a name for her, and we don't know where she came from, and they couldn't find any clues to who this woman was or where she came from.
Why didn't they call that psychic? I mean, if they would have come up with $5,100, I'm sure they would have came up with the name.
Well, I think it would have been like $5 if it were back in, 1812 or whatever it was. What was it, 1943?
Okay.
So it would have been a lot cheaper. It got a little weird because then all of a sudden, graffiti painted throughout the area started out with, "Who put Lubella down the wych elm?" And so the police started investigating, trying to track down who's been posting all of this graffiti. And then it got shortened to, "Who put Bella in the wych elm?" And this went on for quite a while. And eventually it stopped. But they still don't know who Bella was, how she came to be. And originally they spelled it correctly, W-Y-C-H. But eventually it became witch, W-I-T-C-H. And over time, the lore has grown, and we still don't know who Bella was. The skeletons disappeared, so no one knows where those got stored. But pictures of the skull were found, and some modern forensic scientists have put together a composite of what they believe she looked like. And she looks like this is in Great Britain, so she looks like she might be a native of the area. Her teeth are a bit, a bit on the non-symmetric side. And there are theories about who she might be. Some people think that she...
We just made all of our English listeners mad, I'm sure.
Well, just the ones from the 1940s. I've got friends from England. Their teeth are beautiful. So, they believe that she may have been a Nazi spy that was discovered and killed.
That's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah. I don't know where they got this idea, but they believe that the woman was involved in some kind of covert operation for the Germans. And someone killed her for reasons basically that she was a spy, or somebody who was a loyal Brit found out about it and decided to kill her, whether it was the government or a loyal Brit. Who knows? But one sinister theory surfaced that because the woman's hands were in a different location from the rest of the body, some people theorized that the woman had died as part of some human sacrifice. There's a folk belief that the hand of glory can give magical powers. Usually the occultists would take the hand of an executed criminal and then dry it and use it for occult purposes. But, they found both hands. More likely, a small animal removed the hand. But it's a mystery that remains to this day.
You're all up on the unsolved murders tonight.
I know. I wanted to go with true stories because
These are true stories. I'm telling true ghost stories.
I know, but when I was looking at ghost stories, I had trouble finding true cool ghost stories. I found a lot of Reddit ghost stories, but I don't know if they're true or not.
Doesn't matter. Somebody said it was.
Fair enough.
It means it's true.
It must be true.
I've got one for you talking about weird rituals. When the Brentzuis family decided to insulate their home in Auburn, Pennsylvania in 2015, they discovered that it had already been insulated with scores of dead animal carcasses. The dead animals were wrapped in newspapers from the 1930s and 40s and were among half-used spices and other items. After removing the items, they sent hundreds of artifacts and carcasses to an expert in Kutztown. The expert attributed the rotting animals in the walls to powwow or Dutch magic, a ritual originating in the culture of the Pennsylvania Dutch to treat ailments and gain physical and spiritual protection. The Pennsylvania Dutch were a group of German-speaking settlers to Pennsylvania in the 16 and 1700s and are often of the Lutheran, Mennonite, or Amish faiths. Many of the spells deal with the care of livestock, finding water, or treatment of minor ailments, reflecting the conditions and concerns of early American settlers. But powwow also has within its tradition of darker spells and even of such things as conjuring demons. One notable ritual in their tradition is this hex to create loyalty in a dog. To attach a dog to a person, provided nothing else was used before to effect it. Try to draw some of your blood and let the dog eat it along with his food, and he will stay with you. You know, I've found that just the food alone typically will encourage a dog to stay with you. What do you think, Jimmy?
Well, I give food to my dogs and I can't get them off of me, man. They just hang right by me, man. It's like,
You're not mixing any blood in there, are you?
Well, maybe. I don't know.
The mold found on the rotting carcasses in the home has caused illness among the family members, and they say that the odor hasn't gone away.
Ew.
Yeah. Pretty weird, huh?
Yeah, I don't know about that. Here's one. Peach Skylines was a Reddit user, occasional babysitter of a 2-year-old boy. They'd been warned that this boy would sometimes seem to hold conversations with his grandpa, who had passed away before the boy was born. Given that, they were prepared to expect a few creepy things during the evening. What happened went a little bit above and beyond that. That night, the boy pointed to an empty wall and simply said, "Grandpa." Then he gripped the chair he was sitting in and began to chatter his teeth uncontrollably. Understandably freaked out, Peachy Skylines, the babysitter, decided to put the boy to bed. On the way upstairs to his bedroom, they realized that the front door was, for some reason, unlocked. They locked it, jiggled the door to confirm that it had been locked. Then they went upstairs to tuck the boy in. 20 minutes later, once the kid was asleep, they went back downstairs and saw that the front door was inexplicably unlocked again. They checked the house for an intruder but found no one. They spent the rest of the night waiting on edge of terror for the parents to arrive home. Needless to say, they didn't babysit again.
All right, I got a good ghosty one for you. What do you say? Let's just do one more. Actually, I got two more I'd like.
Okay, you do one. I'll find a quick one here. Maybe I'll find something that's cool.
I did find this demon murder trial that I'd mentioned earlier.
Ooh.
In 1981, Orange Cheyenne Johnson murdered his landlord, Alan Bono, in Connecticut. But was Johnson really to blame for his actions, or had he been possessed? In the first ever case to cite demonic possession as a defense for murder, Johnson's lawyers argued that his actions stemmed from a pattern of erratic behavior which began when Johnson was just a child. Johnson's family had even consulted with demonologists Ed and Lorraine Warren, saying that the child had been taunted and harassed by spirits and demons for most of his life. Ultimately, the judge ruled that demonic possession was not a valid defense against first-degree murder. However, despite being found guilty, Johnson only served 5 years of his 10 to 20-year sentence.
What was that? Good behavior?
It doesn't say. It's the end of the story. It does have a picture of the Warrens, though. You know, they made that, what was it, A Haunting in Connecticut? They made a movie with them. They're the ones that had possession of the haunted doll that they made Annabelle from, the movies in real life. That's a pretty cool story. Ever heard about that one?
No. I mean, I've heard the movie. I never saw it.
Okay. Did you find another story?
Many ghost stories have something in common that tends to offer a sense of justice in return for a wrongful death. This particular ghost story, however, offers a somewhat different take. It's about the wrongful treatment in death and revenge in the afterlife. On October 13th, 1877, Robert Schmale was hanged after a trial that found him guilty of a terrifying and inexplicable murder spree. Townspeople were filled with so much anger and hatred, they left his body hanging for days. As the tale goes, not one of the townspeople demonstrated even a shred of remorse, let alone forgiveness for this act. Since then, it has been said that Schmale has haunted the town. Those who have seen him say that he appears as a ghostly male figure, but as soon as the figure registers in your mind, it disappears, somewhat maddeningly into the darkness. And that's all it's got. Man, why couldn't they had something else? Like you had like radioactive hands that come out and touch people and turn them into like Spider-Man knockoffs.
Okay.
That actually look like a spider.
You could add that if you like.
Yes, I'm going to add that. And he has these radioactive hands that reach out and turn people into spiders instead of men. It's like Spider-Man, but you look like a spider.
All right, I have one more story. I actually have another story that someone told me personally that I want to tell.
Oh, we going personal?
It's my last story. Do you have any other stories you want to tell?
If we're going personal, I probably got a... I'll leave that one for later.
You're leaving all these for later. What if they're not later?
Because I don't know the exact... I can actually, I'll just make it up as we go.
Come on.
It's actually about a house in Bluefield, two doors down from our buddy John's house.
Oh, okay. I want to hear that one.
Okay.
All right. So this is one story that I dug up. Hitchhiking is a very dangerous mode of transportation, both for the driver and for the hitchhiker. But we suppose you have nothing to lose if you're already dead.
Ooh.
On a stretch of road near Resurrection Cemetery in Justice, Illinois.
You're making that up.
Someone may be. I'm reading it.
Okay.
On a stretch of road near Resurrection Cemetery in Justice, Illinois. Poor choice of words.
Definitely.
I would have said near Justice, Illinois.
I would have too.
In Justice, Illinois sounds like the name of the town.
Yeah.
Like you just can't get a fair shake there, you know?
Nope.
Injustice. Okay. Illinois. An attractive, blonde-haired, blue-eyed young woman, all dressed in white, is often spotted with her thumb in the air, trying to wave a car for a ride. As she's so very beautiful, plenty of men do pull over and let her hop in. Each time, she asks to be taken to the cemetery. And each time, when they arrive at her final destination, she vanishes into thin air.
Bummer.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that one.
I don't either.
What would you do if you picked up a girl and drove her to a cemetery and she vanished?
Well, you know, that's happened to me before, but
that's where he takes all of his first dates. No wonder they disappear. Oh, come on.
you have another story.
Well, let me do the story of our buddies. So we have a buddy whose name is also Stephen, who lived in this house 2 doors down from...
Oh, this is Bigfoot Stephen. The same Stephen we talked about. We referenced before.
It's Sasquatch Stephen. So Sasquatch Stephen lived in this house 2 doors. Now, he can tell this story far more accurately than me because this actually happened to him. So I don't know. It was probably when I was a young kid. So maybe in the 1970s, maybe the 1980s. The family that lived in that house, and this is in Bluefield, West Virginia, they had a son who was downstairs in the basement, and he was messing around with chemicals and stuff and ended up making something that exploded. It shattered something that got into his body, and he ended up bleeding out at the top of the stairs and died. Very unfortunate and sad story. Now, years later, it's probably got to be at least a decade later, our Sasquatch Steve moves into this house with his family, and they just experience a lot of really odd things happening, like things moving on their own, little toy figures moving around, some things disappearing and then showing up in other locations. They ended up moving out of that house. And I don't know who lives there now, and I don't know who followed up and lived there afterwards, but it always seemed like it was empty when I drove by it.
A real haunted house.
A real haunted house.
I've always been interested in UFOs and paranormal, Bigfoot, and so on. And sometimes I'll just bring the subject up, right? And I think I've told this story on the podcast, actually. It seems like I did early on. I find it interesting to do this because sometimes, I mean, most people just don't talk about it, but a lot of people believe in these things, right? A lot of people have their own experiences, extraordinary experiences, right? So, you know, we're having dinner, and it was some old college friends that had come into town, and they were traveling. Some people I hadn't seen for a long time, and some were really good friends, some were acquaintances, and they had a couple of people traveling with them that I didn't know at all. Anyway, we're all having this big dinner somewhere at a restaurant, and I just bring up the subject of UFOs, just out of the blue. So what do you think about UFOs? Anybody ever think, yeah, and of course, you know, a couple people at the table crack jokes and everything. But what's interesting is that people start telling their stories of whether they, you know, some people just throw out their opinion or say they know someone that saw something or what have you. But anyway, there was a woman there, and I had never met her before. She was one of the people that was traveling along with the other. She told a story that she spent the night in this old house, and she woke up and saw this little girl praying on her bed, like leaning over on her knees, you know, saying her prayers. Then the figure vanished, and she went down and talked to the people that owned the house for breakfast or whatever, and they made the comment that, oh, did you see the ghost? Did you see the little girl? So anyway, I always thought that was a neat story. Don't read about or whatever, but, you know, I just wonder how many of these kind of stories are out there in the world. You know, the next time you're having a dinner party with strangers or even maybe people you know well, but just have never talked about extraordinary experiences, just bring it up. Just try it. Even as a joke, just bring it up and just kind of laugh it off. You don't have to be super serious about it or conspiracy theory about it or anything. Just bring the subject up. And you may be surprised what you may hear. It may be very interesting. While we're on that subject, if you have a story that you would like to tell me and Jimmy, have us share on the air with our listeners, please reach out. First contact at cosmicsponge.com. We would love to hear your story.
Yeah. Just real quick. So this weekend, yesterday actually, Les Odell, our buddy Les, had a little get together where he had some people come in to talk about paranormal stuff, and then he had a lot of tables set up where various people came in selling books and various paraphernalia dealing with cryptids and scary stories, UFOs, that kind of thing. And I was talking to one of the people there. I ended up buying one of his books. I can't remember his name. He's pretty popular, and there's quite a few well-respected authors there. And I ended up buying a book from one and sat and talked to him for quite a while. He was really good. And we were talking back and forth, and he was telling me some of his scary stories, some of the things he had experienced as an author and as someone to go out to investigate this stuff. And I'm like, well, that's really interesting and all, but I've never experienced those kind of things. And I want to. I mean, I am a skeptic. So in order for me to believe, I'm really going to have to see some of these things. So I'm the kind of guy who, like, when you tell me there's a cursed rock in a cave, I want to get a wheelbarrow and take some out. If you tell me there's, like something scary inside of a room, I want to go in and set up camp. And he was like, well, I wouldn't do that if I were you. And I was like, well, I do tell my kids that in a horror story, if I were in there, I'd be the skeptic that dies in scene 1. I'd be like, I don't believe in any of this stuff.
There's no doubt about that. Yeah. You would be the first.
I would be the first to go.
One of the first, for sure.
I'd be the first.
You would probably be the guy at the very beginning of the movie that sets the whole thing up. Yeah. That's just wandering around in there going, what's this thing? You'd be the one flicking open the coffin, that you uncovered.
Oh, there's nothing in this coffin. And then the hand comes out like,
what's this steak sticking up? Pull the steak out of it.
And then the hand comes up like Barnabas and catches your neck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you'd be the setup guy. You'd be the one that started everything, probably.
Yeah. But it was a really good time.
I don't think I want to go ghost hunting with you at all.
Why not?
I think
I would be great.
I'm definitely not going to Adams, Tennessee, where that witch cave is. I can tell you that.
I tell you why I'm going to Adams, Tennessee. I'm taking rocks.
No.
I'm buying those dolls. I'm taking it all, man.
Nope.
I was like Heather said, I would regret it. Because I'm one of those.
Let me know how it works out for you.
I will.
It'll definitely make a good episode on the show.
Yeah, you'll have to find a new partner.
Maybe. All right. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed our Halloween episode, telling a few ghost stories and a few haunted stories. Like I said, if you have something out there that you'd like to share with us, some experience, reach out to us at firstcontact@cosmicsponge.com. Don't forget, the contest is going on right now. We're exactly halfway through. You can go to cosmicsponge.com. It'll pop right up how to enter the contest. All you have to do is put in an email address. But as Jimmy had pointed out, if you like our Facebook page, you get one extra entry. If you like our YouTube channel, you get 2 extra entries. And if you like our Instagram channel, you get 2 extra entries.
Actually, if you follow, not like. If you follow our Instagram or follow our YouTube. But we'd like to...
I stand corrected.
Yeah. If you like it, that's great too.
Like it, follow it, do it all.
Exactly.
Be entertained with the strange and unusual wonders of the world. Weird wonders in the world. Be sure to rate and review wherever you listen to the podcast. It helps other people find the show. Be sure to check out our Facebook page, our Instagram page, and our YouTube channel. As we had just mentioned, that's a good way to get extra entries. If you want to reach out to the show, it's firstcontact@cosmicsponge.com. And check out the web store. Don't forget to buy me a coffee if you'd like to help support the show. Jimmy, you got anything else for this week?
Nope, I'm all good.
Everyone, please, happy Halloween. I hope you all get plenty of treats with trick-or-treating and no evil spirits enter your life or haunt you or whatever, unless you want that. I guess some people might want that.
Yeah, send me all your cursed stuff. Rocks.
Yeah.
Dolls.
Send it all to Jimmy.
Yeah, I'll take it.
So be sure to tune in next week. We are going to be covering New Zealand UFO sightings from the 1930s. These are pre-Kenneth Arnold. This is some other stuff going on down under.
Down under.
Dango ate my baby.
Dango ate my baby.
You know what? I was watching Seinfeld. They have them on Netflix right now.
Yeah,
and that's where that comes from.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. I didn't even realize it. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe they were doing it, but I think Elaine actually was like, Dango ate my baby. And I was like, wait a minute. That's Jimmy's line. All right, listeners. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed tonight's show. And next week, we will be announcing the winner of the contest. And we will be broadcasting on Halloween, doing another UFO episode. So with all that being said, this is Stephen Hawk signing out. And I'll see you next week.
And Jimmy Coe, keep your eyes to the skies and your feet on the ground. See you next week.
Don't open that door.
Woohoo! Who's in there?
Occupied.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to see the little occupied sign.
Get out.
That old lady's angry.
Well, you spoke too much.
That's all for this week's episode of Cosmic Sponge. Please don't forget to rate and review us wherever you listen. It helps others find the show. If you have any questions or have a story you'd like to share, you can contact us using our email account, firstcontact@cosmicsponge.com. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next week.